is the lifeline when geopolitical tensions escalate, when unresolved disputes fuel the flames of conflict, and when states lose trust in each other. The Charter lays out a number of important tools to forge peace. Article 2.3 of the UN Charter is clear. All members shall settle their international disputes by peaceful means in such a manner that international peace and security and justice are not endangered. Chapter 6 of the Charter is equally clear on the specific responsibilities of this Council to help ensure the pacific settlement of disputes by negotiation, inquiry, mediation, conciliation, arbitration, judicial settlement, resort to regional agencies or arrangements, or other peaceful means of their own choice. Action 16 of the Pact of the Future calls on Member States to recommit to all the mechanisms of preventive diplomacy and the peaceful settlement of disputes. I commend Pakistan for utilizing its presidency to put forward the resolution urging all Member States to make full use of these tools in our collective pursuit of global peace. This is needed now more than ever. Around the world, we see an utter disregard for, if not outright violation of, international law, including international human rights law, international refugee law, international humanitarian law, and the UN Charter itself, without any accountability. These failures to uphold the international obligations are coming at a time of a widening geopolitical divides and conflicts. And the cost is staggering, measured in human lives, shattered communities, and lost futures. We need look no further than the horror show in Gaza, with a level of death and destruction without parallel in recent times. Malnourishment is soaring, starvation is knocking on every door. And now we are seeing the last gasp of a humanitarian system built on humanitarian principles. This system is being denied the conditions to function, denied the space to deliver, denied the safety to save lives. With Israeli military operations intensifying and new displacement orders issued in Deir al-Balah, devastation is being layered upon devastation. I am appalled that UN premises have been struck, among them facilities of the UN Office for Project Services and the World Health Organization, including WHO's main warehouse. This is despite all parties having been informed of the locations of these UN facilities. These premises are inviolable and must be protected under international humanitarian law without exception. From Gaza to Ukraine, from Sahel to Sudan, Haiti and Myanmar, and many other parts of the world, conflict is raging, international law is being trampled, and anger and displacement are at record levels. And terrorism, violent extremism, and transnational crime remain persistent scourges, pushing security further out of reach. Diplomacy may not have always succeeded in preventing conflicts, violence, and instability, but it still holds the power to stop them. Mr. President, peace is a choice, and the world expects the UN Security Council to help countries make this choice. This Council is at the center of the global architecture for peace and security. Its creation reflects a central truth. Competition between states is a geopolitical reality, but cooperation, anchored in shared interests and the greater good, is the sustainable pathway to peace. Too often, we see divisions, entrenched positions, and escalatory discourse blocking solutions and the effectiveness of the Council. But we have also seen some inspiring examples of finding common ground and forging solutions to global problems. For example, today marks 3 years since the signing of the Black Sea Initiative and the Memorandum of Understanding with the Russian Federation, efforts that show that we can achieve through mediation and the good offices of the United Nations, even during the most challenging moments. And we've seen many other recent examples. From the Seville Conference on Financing for Development, to the Oceans Conference in Nice, to the agreement on marine biological diversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction and the Cybercrime Treaty, to the Pact for the Future adopted last year. The Pact in particular demonstrates a clear recommitment by the world to strengthen the United Nations collective security system. Drawing from the new Agenda for Peace, it prioritizes preventive diplomacy and mediation, all areas where this Council can play a vital role. As we look to the theme of today's debate, I see three areas where we can live up to the Pact's call to renew our commitment to, and the world's faith in, the multilateral problem-solving architecture. First, this Council's members, in particular its permanent members, must continue working to overcome divisions. The majority of situations on the Security Council agenda are complex and resist quick fixes. But even in the darkest days of the Cold War, the collective dialogue and decision-making in this Council underpinned a common and effective system of global security, one that successfully developed a range of peacekeeping missions, one that opened the door for vital humanitarian aid to flow to people in need, and one that helped prevent a third world war. I urge you to summon this same spirit by keeping channels open, continue to listen in good faith and working to overcome differences and building consensus. We must also work to ensure that this Council reflects the world of today, not the world of 80 years ago. This Council should be made more representative of today's geopolitical realities. And we must continue improving the working methods of this Council to make it more inclusive, transparent, efficient and accountable. I urge you to continue building consensus to move the intergovernmental negotiations forward. Second, this Council must continue strengthening cooperation with regional and sub-regional partners. The landmark adoption of Security Council Resolution 2719, supporting African Union-led peace support operations through assessed contributions, is a good example of how we can join efforts with regional organizations to support more effective responses. I also commend this Council's steps to strengthen and rebuild regional security frameworks to encourage dialogue and advance the peaceful settlement of disputes. Troisièmement.
And third, member states must honor their obligations under international law, including the UN Charter, international human rights law, and international humanitarian law. The Pact for the Future calls on all member states to live up to their commitments as enshrined in the UN Charter, as well as to uphold the principles of the respect for sovereignty, territorial integrity, and the political independence of states. All of these principles are grounded in international law and are buttressed by a commitment to prioritize prevention of conflict and the peaceful settlement of disputes through dialogue and diplomacy. The Pact for the Future also recognizes the critical contribution made by the International Court of Justice, which celebrates its 80th anniversary next year. Mr. President, as we mark the 80th anniversary of our organization,
वोट हमारे सारे सामने आए हैं। मुराद सईद साहब जो है उनको मिले हैं 26 वोट, एडिशनल वोट उनको मिले हैं 8। फैसल जावेद खान साहब को 22 वोट मिले हैं, उनको एडिशनल वोट मिले हैं 4। और मिर्जा अफरीदी साहब को 21 वोट मिले हैं, उनको एडिशनल वोट मिले हैं 3। और नूरुल हक कादरी साहब को मिले हैं 3। और एडिशनल जो वोट लिए हैं इन्होंने 18 के करीब लिए हैं। जो बहस चल रही है कि अगर पार्टी इकट्ठी थी, पार्टी के सारे एमपीएस उन्होंने मिलकर वोट करना था, तो वो कौन सी मजबूरी थी मोहतरम जो है अलीमीन गंडापुर को जिसने आन लिया, जिसकी वजह से उनको ये 5 और 6 का फार्मूला तय करना पड़ा। जो साहब आपके पास कोई अंदर की खबर है?
नहीं, ये पीटीआई वाले जो है ना, जिनसे मेरी थोड़ी बहुत बात हुई है, वो कह रहे हैं कि कोई मतलब 2 बंदों के मैंने बात की कि जी वो पीसी में उनको ठहराया है और 7 करोड़ रुपए जो है एक एमपी है कोस्तान के एरिया से, उसने और एक दूसरे ने पता नहीं कितने करोड़ और 50 लाख ले लिया और बाकी जब वोट के बाहर देना था। अब क्या होता है, तो बाकी भी उनके पास कुछ मशकूक लोग थे 10-15, तो इसलिए उन्होंने कहा कि अभी इसको मामले को ठप ही रहने दो। मामला कल एक तरह उन्होंने एक सीट उधर दे के तो अभी इसका अपना भरम जो है वो कायम रखा है कि वी आर इन कंट्रोल ऑफ द सिचुएशन। अब उस पर भी बातें हो रही हैं कि हर वोटर जो था उसका वोट जो है वो खुद नहीं डाल के आ रहा था, वो अगले को दे के चला जाता था, वो अगला अपना वोट और ये सारा कुछ चीफ मिनिस्टर खुद करवा रहे थे। ये इस तरह की कहानी भी है, लेकिन जो बेहतर बात है ये है कि इस तरह की लोटे और लॉयल्टीज खरीदना और ख़रीद के करोड़ों रुपए एक्सचेंजिंग हैंड्स, उसकी बजाय बेहतर है अगर एक उन्होंने लूज कर लिए तो क्या हुआ। मैं समझता हूं कि ये
बिल्कुल सही
सलूबी से हो गया।
माशाल्लाह सर, मुबारक हो बहुत बहुत चौधरी गुलाम सिंह साहब, बड़े अच्छे अंदाज से पाकिस्तान तहरीक इंसाफ ने ये इलेक्शन लड़ा।